The lipstick wasn't her shade, she knew that much. It was a glaring sign, a red flag that couldn't be ignored. Crimson red, it clashed violently with her own coral pink. The contrast was stark, undeniable, and it gnawed at her insides. It was a careless mistake, one that shattered her picture-perfect life. The life she had meticulously built now seemed like a fragile house of cards. The lipstick, smeared on the collar of his crisp white shirt, was just the beginning. Soon the whispers started, whispers that grew louder with each passing day. Strange phone calls, late-night meetings, the scent of a perfume that lingered long after she was gone. Each clue was a piece of a puzzle she never wanted to solve. Her husband, the man who vowed to love and cherish, was leading a double life, a life filled with secrets and lies, hidden behind a facade of normalcy. Her world, once filled with the sweet melody of love, was now a cacophony of doubt. The wedding photos, once symbols of joy, now felt like cruel reminders of a broken promise. Each unanswered question was a sharp, piercing note, driving her closer to the edge. The anxiety gnawed at her, making sleep a distant memory. She had to know the truth. The need for answers consumed her, pushing her to the brink of obsession. But was she ready for the darkness it might reveal? The fear of the unknown was paralyzing, yet the need to uncover the truth was overpowering. The truth, as they say, can set you free, but freedom comes at a cost, and she was about to pay the ultimate price. But sometimes, it can also burn your world to the ground. The flames of truth can be both illuminating and destructive, leaving nothing but ashes in their wake. She started noticing the signs, small at first, easily dismissed. A missed call on his phone, the screen flashing an unfamiliar name, a lingering scent of lilies, a fragrance she never wore. He became distant, his touch cold, his eyes filled with a flicker of something she couldn't place. Was it guilt, or something more sinister? Her once unwavering trust began to crumble, replaced by a gnawing suspicion that tightened its grip around her heart. Sleep evaded her, replaced by sleepless nights spent dissecting his every word, every move. Like a detective piecing together a puzzle, she began her search for the truth. Little did she know, the answers she sought were buried deep, shrouded in a web of deceit that threatened to consume her. The evidence, once just whispers and shadows, became impossible to ignore. A credit card statement with charges from a jewelry store she'd never visited. A crumpled receipt for a romantic dinner for two at a secluded restaurant. The lies, once flimsy and easily constructed, were now unraveling, exposing the depth of his betrayal. The man she thought she knew, the one who promised her forever, was a stranger. His eyes, once filled with love and adoration, now held a chilling coldness that sent shivers down her spine. The life they built, the memories they shared, felt like a cruel joke. The pain was unbearable, a suffocating weight that threatened to crush her. The storm, brewing for weeks, finally broke. One evening, the air thick with unspoken tension, she confronted him. The evidence laid out on the table between them spoke volumes. His face, once composed, crumbled. Denials turned into justifications, justifications into pleas for forgiveness. But her heart, once overflowing with love, was now a desolate wasteland. The betrayal cut deep, leaving her numb and hollow. His apologies rang hollow, empty words uttered in a desperate attempt to salvage what was already lost. The truth was out, and it had shattered their world into a million pieces. Section 5. The Night of the Storm. The storm raged outside, mirroring the tempest in her soul. The wind howled through the trees, bending them to its will, while the rain pounded relentlessly against the windows, as if trying to break through and join the chaos within. Rain lashed against the windows, the wind howling like a banshee. It was a night that seemed to echo the turmoil inside the house, a perfect reflection of the emotional storm brewing between them. He sat across from her, his face etched with a mixture of guilt and defiance. His eyes, once full of warmth, now held a cold, distant look, as if he had already resigned himself to the inevitable confrontation. The air crackled with tension, the silence punctuated by the rhythmic tick-tock of the grandfather clock in the hallway. Each tick seemed to count down to an unavoidable explosion, a moment that would shatter the fragile peace they had maintained for so long. Her heart pounded in her chest, a frantic drum against her ribs. She could feel the pressure building, the weight of unspoken words and unresolved issues pressing down on her, making it hard to breathe. Years of unspoken resentment, of betrayal and deceit bubbled to the surface. The memories of past hurts and broken promises flashed through her mind, each one adding fuel to the fire that was about to erupt. The words, when they finally came, were laced with venom, each syllable a poison dart aimed at his heart. She could no longer hold back the torrent of emotions that had been building up inside her for so long. The argument escalated, fueled by years of suppressed anger and hurt. Voices rose, accusations flew, and the room seemed to shrink around them, trapping them in their own private storm. And then it happened. A single, life-altering act, committed in the heat of the moment, forever changing the course of their lives. It was a moment that would be etched in their memories, a turning point from which there was no return. The storm outside was nothing compared to the storm within. Section 6. Blood on the roses. The roses, once a symbol of their love, now lay scattered on the floor, petals stained crimson. The sharp metallic scent of blood filled the air, mingling with the sweet fragrance of the roses. Her hands trembled, her mind struggling to comprehend the scene before her. The storm outside had subsided, leaving behind an eerie silence. She stared at her reflection in the pool of blood, her eyes wide with horror. The woman staring back was a stranger, her face a mask of shock and disbelief. What had she done? The weight of her actions crashed down upon her, suffocating her, drowning her in a sea of guilt and remorse. Her life, as she knew it, was over. Section 7. The investigation. The sirens wailed in the distance, drawing closer with each passing moment. The flashing red and blue lights painted grotesque patterns on the walls of her home, now a crime scene. The air, thick with the stench of blood and bleach, buzzed with the whispers of the arriving officers. Their faces, hardened and impassive, betrayed nothing of their thoughts. Questions swirled around her, sharp and relentless. Who was the victim? What transpired on that fateful night? Her mind, clouded with shock and disbelief, struggled to make sense of it all. She was a wife, a woman of society, thrust into the harsh glare of the spotlight, her life dissected and examined under a microscope. The investigation unfolded, revealing a tangled web of lies, infidelity, and deceit. Her husband's double life, once hidden in the shadows, was laid bare for all to see. His mistress, a woman scorned, painted a picture of a man consumed by passion, willing to risk it all for their forbidden love. The media, hungry for a scandal, devoured every detail, turning their lives into a public spectacle. Her name, once whispered with respect and admiration, was splashed across headlines, forever linked to the scandal. She became a pariah, ostracized by society, judged and condemned before the trial even began. The courtroom, a cold and sterile space, became her battleground. Lawyers with their sharp tongues and even sharper minds dissected every detail of that fateful night. The evidence, presented piece by piece, painted a damning picture. Her life, her secrets, her pain, laid bare for the jury to judge. Days turned into weeks, the tension in the courtroom growing with each passing hour. The jury, their faces stoic and unreadable, held her fate in their hands. Would they believe her story? Or would they condemn her for her actions, for taking a life in a moment of blind rage? The word guilty echoed through the courtroom, a resounding clang that shattered the tense silence. The world seemed to tilt on its axis, the air knocked out of her lungs. Tears streamed down her face, a mixture of relief and despair. Justice, it seemed, had been served. But at what cost? She was a convicted killer, her life forever defined by that single horrific act. The sentence, handed down with the impartial weight of the law, offered little solace. Years stretched ahead, filled with the cold, harsh realities of prison life. The case of the scorned wife, driven to murder by her husband's infidelity, became a cautionary tale. It was a story that gripped the nation, a tragic narrative that unfolded in the public eye, leaving everyone to ponder the depths of human emotion and the consequences of betrayal. A stark reminder of the devastating consequences of betrayal, of the fine line between love and hate, and the dangerous path of vengeance. The once happy couple, now torn apart by lies and deceit, became symbols of a love gone terribly wrong. Their story served as a warning to others about the perils of infidelity and the destructive power of anger. But it also raised uncomfortable questions about the complexities of human relationships, about forgiveness and redemption, and the enduring power of secrets to destroy lives. Was justice truly served? Or did the legal system merely provide a temporary resolution to a much deeper, emotional wound? The courtroom drama, filled with tears and accusations, left many wondering about the true nature of justice. Or was it a hollow victory, achieved at the cost of two lives forever intertwined in a tragedy of their own making? The gravestones stood as silent witnesses to a love story that ended in sorrow, a poignant reminder of the irreversible consequences of our actions. The tears shed in the courtroom echoed the pain felt by all who were touched by this tragedy. The answers, like the tide ebbing and flowing on that desolate shore, remained elusive, leaving behind a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of the human heart to both love and destroy. As the waves crashed against the shore, they seemed to whisper the secrets of a love lost, a story that would be remembered for its lessons on the human condition and the thin line between passion and despair.